Well, this is our 12-foot sheet of 40 thousandths. I only needed an 8-foot sheet. The only place it would roll it was air parts, and from them you can only get either a 6-foot or a 12-foot sheet of 40 thousandths. So it's still substantially cheaper to buy a full 12-foot sheet. So I've got some extra in case I need it, in case I screw up along the way. So I've already laid out for the first wing spar, and I've checked my list, done my list, checked it twice, all that good stuff. So we're going to try and cut it with an Olfa knife. Now this is the first attempt that I'm going to have with working with 2024 T3, because the Zenith, of course, is 6061. So we're just going to take our time and play with this and see if we can't cut it with an Olfa, how much tougher it is. It feels substantially stronger than a sheet of 6061. So I'm sure we may have some trials and tribulations along the way, but that's what this is all about, is a learning experience. So let me go ahead and cut the first one. I want to flop it end for end and cut my other one next to it, so that I don't end up with a bunch of goofy angles and stuff. The only other thing I think that has to come out of this sheet is that bulkhead and possibly the instrument panel. I don't remember if it's 40 thousandths or not. So we're going to just do a little bit with this tonight. I'm not going to do a whole lot. I probably won't get to laying out that bulkhead, although I might. And we'll see how this goes. Like I say, I've got the first one laid out. We'll see if it goes as easy as I hope it will. Chop up. Where are you going? And I've left myself just a little bit of extra material here. Okay, well, let's see what that looks like here. We're probably going to have to cut this. I think it's going to be good to score it, but I think we're going to have to go back and do an actual cut on all of this to make it come out with a decent cut on it. What are you doing? Ooh, this is substantially stronger than 6061. Yeah. Sometimes I think I'm pretty hot with the 6061 on the Zenith with cutting it out, but this is going to be a little bit different animal here, I think. Scoring it definitely helps because it will follow the groove pretty well, follow the score line to give hopefully a pretty straight cut. It acts like anyway. Okay, normally, you know, they say to, normal practice would be to cut beyond your line, then go back and trim. Cutting it with the Olfa, that gives you your reference line, so they seem to lay down pretty good there. By the time I get those deburred, well, I think they'll be fine. So I'll finish cutting this one out and just cut out the ends, the notch on the end here. Then what I'm going to do is just flip it over just like this to get my reference line for how much material I need to use. And it's still going to be a little bit of a crooked line, but that's okay. We'll make the most of the material we've got, I think. And we'll cut the second one, and then I don't know if we'll go ahead and try and form this or if we'll just roll it up and put it out of the way. I just wanted to dedicate those pieces so that they made the so that I had the good pieces laid out for them, so they didn't get damaged or cut up into smaller pieces used for something else, something like that. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at for right now. We'll make a little more progress and come back and take a look. Okay, a little quick tip right here. Performing flanges around the around these bulkheads to, and I can't pull this up, I've got it pinned. Let's use this instrument panel. Okay, so this is our actual instrument panel form that we're going to use. So we want to flange all the way around this to bend it. And on the 701, I've mainly made cutting templates for everything, like all of the wing ribs and things like that, because there was very few of them, or there were multiples of the same thing, and very few different ones. So we made cutting templates. So the cutting templates had this extra 3/8 of an inch, ½ inch, 9/16, whatever the case may be for a particular flange. On this Midget Mustang, there's very few multiples of everything, so it's not really worth the time to make a set of cutting templates for it. So we've just got our form blocks. So to get our distance for our flange, which in this case I believe is ½ inch on this, guys will take, and they're calling it a magic washer. Now you can take an actual washer if it's the right size, and you put it up against the edge of your flange, and you just run it around with a Sharpie in the center hole. The problem with just a washer is they're usually thin enough that if you've got bevels on both sides, like for form blocks like we do on the 7-1, there's always a potential that it can slip down underneath. So we make a magic washer. And what I've done, some guys will laser cut them if they've got access to a laser cutter, things like that. What I've done is just taken some acrylic. This is 1/4 inch acrylic, plexiglass, that I had. It was scrap. And I just cut me little squares, drilled a hole in the center. Actually, I cut little squares just like this one right here, and wasn't concerned about size or dimensions or anything, just so they were big enough. Went ahead and drilled a hole pretty much in the center of them. And then you can either lathe turn these, but the quickest and easiest way to do it, and what I've done with these, or what I've gone to doing with these, is I take my blank, and this is just a roughed out blank, and this is way oversized. I need a 3/8 magic washer for in the center. So we're just taking them just like this. We're putting a screw in the middle. I drilled a 3/16, so in this case we've got a 1032. In this case we've got a 1032 screw that we're putting in the middle of it. Just like come on, get in there. That one may not have gotten drilled all the way through. Run it through there just like yay. Take your little drill. And you want it to run true, but you know, sometimes they're not perfect. Anyway, run it through your drill like that. Take it to your belt sander. And we're going to start right there with that size, just like that. And we're probably a little bit too big, so I'll have to do this a couple of times. And you can take and finish it out just with some sandpaper. What I'm going to do is just go for a minute. I'm going to just put this up against my buffer to polish up the sides. And this is a 9/16. You know, they don't have to be perfect, just so they're round and fairly smooth. So I'm going to take and do that, then we'll come back and test it and see if it's actually going to be the right size. Okay, now I expect this is the way it came off the buffer, just like this. I expect this to be too big. This still looks like it's about a 1/2 inch dimension. But it's easiest for just 1 or 2 like this, just to do a trial fit. And see how close we are. Then we end up with something like this. We'll run at a little bit of an angle here, so hopefully you can see it. All you do is set your washer against the outline where you want your rip form to be. And there you got your line. A little bit of a booger there, so that's why we got that little bump. But now if I was smart, I would have measured that before I moved it. And you just run that around your form block once you've got the right size. I think this is closer to being, yeah, that's more like a 1/2 inch. So we'll take it back over. We'll do that a couple more times until we've got it the right size. Okay, and there's our 3/8. So, and I mark on them what size they are. Maybe. Because that also tells you which side goes up. So in case they're not perfectly level, why, that tells you what they are. But anyway, 3/8, 1/2, and 9/16 is what I've got there. 3/8 and 1/2 are what I needed right now. So let's move on down here and I'll show you how they run around everything. Well, magic washer in motion here. Now I don't know exactly. We got 3/8 flange around the inside, down to the sides, and it blends away into nothing right in through here. So I'm just going to mark across the bottom just to define the form block. And I think the same way up here. I don't know how far. We'll go ahead and mark the washer all the way up there, but I don't know how far it extends actually. That flange, we'll have to look at the plans. But on the inside, it's going to be 3/8. So what I'm going to do is just go like that. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Hopefully that's seeable all the way around. So there's our 3/8. And on the outside we've got a 1/2 inch flange. So we do the same thing. And as long as our form block is the way it's supposed to be and doesn't have any goofy little Humpty Dumps in it or anything like that, why, that gives us our outside cut line. Right there, just like that. So hopefully that you can see, but there will be our cut line all the way around. I'll have to define how this fades into nothing, and it just, I won't show that right now, but it just fades in there, probably right through these corners, because when we go to the flat, why, that's where the main spars go on either side of it. So one of these flanges, the outside gets flanged forward, the inside gets flanged back. So normally on most flanges, rib forms and everything, why, they'll flange the same way. And I think this is the only one that flanges in 2 different directions, but we'll see. Anyway, just wanted to give you a quick little thing about magic washers. So now they go in the toolbox. I've got them for the entire build. And if I need any more, well, I've got one more blank cut out. It won't take too long to produce them. But anyway, 3/8, 1/2, and 9/16 is the other one I turned. I think most of the other flanges are 9/16. Just a quick little tip. Hopefully you find that interesting, useful. Comment suggestions, as always, leave in the comment section for me below, guys. And thanks for taking the time to watch.